Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Delancey and today I'm going to be talking about 10 tropes I love to see in storytelling. Now these tropes can be in books, TV shows, movies, it doesn't matter. Wherever they are, I really enjoy them and I always want to pick up that book, that movie, that TV show if I see that they are featured. For those who don't know, tropes are overly used plot devices. They are certain settings or character traits, so on and so forth, that you see constantly throughout books, movies, TV shows. They are cliches. You see them so much because they work, and some tropes you love while others you hate. But today I'm going to be talking about 10 that I absolutely love. So in no particular order, I am going to start off first with the OG of all tropes, and that is the chosen one trope. Trouble and horror has befallen the land, and it is prophesized that a hero will come and save the day. Turns out this hero is an unlikely individual. They are immature or inexperienced or very young. However, through a series of lessons, mistakes, trials, and tribulations, they morph themselves into the prophesized hero that we all needed. Everyone knows this trope, whether they realize it or not. Harry Potter and Frodo Baggins are classic characters that fall into this trope. If you watch anime, Naruto is another great example. I love to see authors and filmmakers flip this trope on its head, unique twists on it. As you can see, there is nothing special about this trope, but there is a reason why it has stuck around since the beginning of time. It just works. It's easy to follow along to, you know who to root for, and it provides for an awesome arc. You get to see the character grow into the hero that they are meant to be. It's always a lot of fun, and no surprise, it's on my list. The second trope I'm going to be talking about is the power couple, and that is when you have two highly ambitious, very strong personalities, either already in a romantic relationship or they eventually become involved in a romantic relationship. Often what prevents these two parties from finally getting together is that they both have conflicting interests and they're too stubborn to give it up. One of my favorite power couples, and probably my favorite fictional couple of all time, is Chuck and Blair from Gossip Girl. I love them so much. My Tumblr back in middle school might as well have been a Gossip Girl Tumblr because I would repost GIFs and quotes by them all the time in front of flowery backgrounds or cityscapes back when I was like emotional and very moody, and I thought I was quite profound. I think one of my favorite Chuck and Blair moments was from, I think it's like season 6, where Blair intercepts Chuck leaving on a flight on the tarmac. I don't know if anyone remembers this. So it's like very dramatic, but Blair essentially doesn't want Chuck to leave, but Chuck has to go, so she's like, "Kiss me, Chuck Bass," and then Chuck's like, and then Blair's like, and then Chuck's like, "Oh God." And then I'm like, oh. Third trope on my list is related to Gossip Girl as well, and that is poorly supervised rich kids. Something about highly privileged children with too much time and money on their hands just leads to really wild, interesting adventures, lots of catty gossip, pointless drama. Anyone who enjoys watching the Bravo channel probably knows what I mean. You like roll your eyes and you hate to watch it, but yet you like can't look away. Another book series that is similar to Gossip Girl would be Crazy Rich Asians, which happens to be one of my favorite series. Another trope I love is competition. It's no surprise that my favorite Harry Potter book in the series was the 4th book. Books that center around competition just always keep me on edge. I think it's really fun to learn about all the different competitors, their backgrounds, what their strengths and weaknesses are. If magic abilities are involved in this form of a competition, I think it's even more fun to read or watch. I just think the author has so much creative potential there. I just love to be on the sidelines, like cheering my favorite characters on, you know?
Victory Screech!
The 5th trope on my list is redemption stories. I love a good redemption story. I'm currently working my way through A Silent Voice. That entire series is a redemption story. If you like musicals, Les Mis is another great example. Redemption stories always tend to get me kind of in the feels. You root for this main character so much. You want to see them evolve, grow, change, become a better person. I really like when the redemption story is a slow burn. I will say though, there is a certain way to do it, in my opinion. I don't like it when the character is mopey and feels guilty for the entirety of the book. Then it just gets kind of repetitive and like negative Nancy on me. But if it's done right, I love a good redemption story, and it just like gets me kind of teary-eyed, you know? The next trope I want to talk about is setting related, and that is boarding schools. I love a good school setting. I don't care if they're learning how to become assassins, wizards, if they're just learning to basket weave. If it is set in a school, I'm like 80% more likely to pick a book or a movie up. I think part of this is because when stories are set in a school setting, there is lots of potential for different characters, so many different stories, lots of diversity. I also find that school stories are very relatable just given my current age, and since I'm in school myself right now, usually it leads to a series and you get to grow along with the characters as they go through each consecutive grade. Of course, the first example that's going to come to mind is Harry Potter. If you know of any great books that do take place in a school setting, please comment down below and let me know, because I feel like I haven't read enough of those books. Another trope that I really love is one I like to call the gentleman collar trope. Lady or lord, whoever, has to marry someone by the end of next season, otherwise they will lose the family estate and they will be forced to live in destitute. Something like that. I think I like this trope because it reminds me of back in my sorority days when I would watch The Bachelor with everybody. This kind of ties into the competition trope as well. I love learning about all the different suitors and picking my favorites. I like when it's not so obvious who the winner is going to be. I usually like this trope set in historical fiction. I really loved Downton Abbey when that first came out. Something about people in polite society talking smack in petticoats, like, I don't know, it's like my thing. The 8th trope on my list is best friends to lovers, and I love this romance trope. Throughout books, movies, TV shows, I've always felt that this trope is the most natural. I especially love when they are childhood best friends and they meet later on in life. I just watched a wonderful Netflix original movie titled Always Be My Maybe, starring Randall Park and Ali Wong. I love that movie so much. It's one of my favorite rom-coms. There's nothing wildly original about it, but I just think it was executed so well, and it has that best friends to lovers trope as well as a hate to love scenario too, which is another trope I really love in romance. I'm still pretty new to romance books, so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I like and what I don't like, but what I do know, given my experience up until this point, is best friends to lovers. Love that trope. Another trope on my list is called the Full House trope. This is when under wild or holiday-related circumstances, you have family members or a group of friends all shoved into one house or one setting. These are usually very character-driven stories as opposed to plot-driven. These are also usually very goofy, funny storylines. Some really great examples of this include Morgan Matson's Save the Date. I'm reading that book right now, and that is a classic Full House trope. I recently watched the Korean Netflix, I'm not sure if you'd call it a drama or a sitcom, called My First Love. That's another great example of the Full House trope. I love this trope so much because I think it holds so much potential for a cast of very diverse, interesting characters. I also find it very relatable. Personally, I've always loved going on trips with big groups of friends. In my family, every holiday we would always have big family gatherings, and I've always looked forward to that. I just like the dynamic, and I find it to be very lively and interesting when reading a book or watching a TV show or a movie. And the final trope that I love is the anti-hero. These are characters who are considered the protagonist of the story, but they do not have the typical heroic qualities we would expect. These individuals are often misunderstood, they are morally ambiguous, sometimes people refer to them as villain protagonists. In theater, I always thought these were the most interesting and the most fun characters to play. Some great examples that I can think of would be Dexter, or a bunch of characters in Game of Thrones. I just love how complex these characters are. I find that a lot of the times they can be a lot more realistic, and they really make you think a little bit more than your typical vanilla good guy. This makes me think back to the chosen one trope, having an anti-hero as the chosen one. I love that kind of stuff. I find it very interesting, and I'm always down to read a story about that. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for my top 10 favorite tropes. If you feel the same way about any of these, definitely comment down below. If you know any books that have these tropes, please let me know because I would love to read them. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!